what I feel like is the staff are like way out in front
Mm.
of the governors of the
Oh,
council people. You know,
right.
because they have to keep going. They're trying to keep things
Yeah.
operative.
It looks like Mary might be joining us, which is
Yeah.
awesome.
Mhm.
She's got the recording going now. Turn off the recording.
I know it's not an official meeting, but either way. So there were minutes that we can't vote on, but we could still give Mary feedback if there's any feedback for the minutes. Those were
Have a-
attached.
Yeah, I have a few corrections.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it sounds like she is trying to connect still. There's a message there.
Okay.
We have our next regular meeting, assuming we still have meetings, which would be October 26th, but we can wait and see if that's actually happening.
Okay.
I guess, does anyone have any other announcements? Okay.
Hey, I've got a question. You guys know when the leaf pickup or the free
The leaf drop.
drop, not leaf drop, but the free yard debris drop is with the fire department in the fall? I think they have one in the fall and spring, right?
Oh,
At
There's-
Valley View?
Yeah.
Where you take stuff out to Valley View?
Yeah.
I thought that was just in the spring.
It could be. Okay.
It was in May. The
Right.
leaf drop is in the fall.
Mhm.
And but I could be completely wrong on that. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm hoping, I would imagine it's on Recology's site. And we can ask Jamie too.
Yeah. I
Is
will-
Jamie
So-
joining us?
She is not.
Okay,
Yeah. So that's why we don't have quorum.
right. I was interested in, there was a line from the minutes when we met. I don't know if it was an official meeting, but about them interested in putting in a possible, what are we calling them? It's not a composter, but an eco-rich kind
Oh.
of machine at Water Street.
Right.
And so, I've still been kind of meeting with that group.
Oh, okay.
And there's some more, I guess there had been some composting going on with the restaurants on Guanajuato, but they kind of shut that down because the rules weren't being followed by the workers.
Mhm.
But it seems like they're looking possibly for another solution there, and an
Well, that's-
eco-rich
yeah.
machine could be.
Yeah.
one of those
So
solutions.
so I have a question. Have you learned, when I read about that machine, it isn't really, doesn't create finished compost, but it
Correct.
processes
Correct,
food waste.
correct.
That you
Um,
still have to take that processed food waste and mix it with bulk stuff and compost it.
Yes, or you can use it as maybe a top dressing on a garden or in
Yeah.
a
Well,
plant.
how come, I don't understand why there isn't a move to, I mean, there are self-contained
Mhm.
full compost.
Oh, this machine, because it works in 24 hours, the conversion is 24 hours, and it uses a lot of biological guys.
Right, but
and
still,
little bit
the-
of heat, and you don't have time to build up the worms and all the really good
right,
stuff
but
that
there are
vegetation does.
systems that don't require building up the worms or anything that are
But I
just,
don't think they're a 24-hour turnaround.
no, but why do you need 24-hour turnaround?
I don't know, but I mean, I think it depends upon the volume that you have, right? And if you're putting something in and getting it out, it just depends upon, and
Right.
we have a huge problem with rats in the city,
Yeah.
so you have to.
Yeah,
really
yeah.
minimize that.
I guess I've been looking at an idea of, it's basically a container, like a shipping container that's been,
Right,
had a industrial or commercial compost built into it. So it
Mhm.
has air circulation, it has movement,
right,
it's sealed, it filters the air, so it limits the
odor. Mhm.
the gas pollution that comes out of it. And, I think they scale them different sizes. It costs much more, I'm sure, than that thing, but what you get is finished compost out of it. It's
Right.
rat proof, it's
Right,
the whole thing. You need a site though for it. I
exactly.
mean, I'm gonna try and work on Beck's. I think that we could have something like that at the SOU farm.
Definitely.
And then both farmers or especially residents could bring stuff, or a business could collect
Right.
food waste, and then the farm would have the bulk. You still need, when you use a real compost system, as opposed to a
Right.
processing of food waste system, you still need about 2/3 bulk
Right.
material.
Right.
But we have that in Ashland. I mean, Parks and Rec has it.
Totally. Totally.
The university has it, so
Right.
maybe we could get something going.
Mhm.
I'm sure
I
there's
think
room for multiple solutions. Kate,
That's
did you?
what I was,
Yeah.
that's what I was just gonna say, but go ahead, Marnie.
Oh, well, did you want to give us more of a full update on what you've discovered since the last time we talked about it?
I haven't discovered too much. I just know that the group is still working. They are collecting kitchen waste at the farmer's market on Tuesdays, right? And we started with 2 bins, and then there were 3 bins. Now there's 5 bins. So people bring their compost there. So it's 5 trash bins, so like 100 pounds when they're full. They're taken to various farmers, and then those farmers compost them. A couple of farmers have said that it's really decreased their fertilizer cost and their need to buy manure or those kinds of things.
That's
And
great.
the big question is that people are asking is, what do we do when the farmer's market shuts down?
Mhm.
So people are still wanting to bring their food waste. And we're going to have a time when we don't have the farmer's market. So, is there another solution, even just short term, for that problem? And of course, it's a drop in the bucket, but it's a way to start, right?
Well, my hope is that we'll get a solution that is a more complete end-to-end and can handle larger volumes and produce finished compost, which actually has a monetary value.
Of course.
And
But
it
there-
could help pay for.
I don't know if there's a way of just even having some bins at Water Street, once a week. The other problem is you can't leave them because of critters, but I
Right.
don't know. And then when the market turns on again, then, things will kind of happen again. But yeah, it's interesting that people are really concerned about that. So I
The-
think there's more to be done.
Do you remember on the website for the machine, it did say, yes, it's not finished compost, but it'll compost much more quickly. So,
course.
But compost isn't it's a process. It's not a compost process.
Right.
Because
Right.
compost by definition has to
Right.
take X amount of time.
It
I do
doesn't have all the, yeah.
can I finish? So
Sure.
what I wanted to know is what you do end up with at the end of that process, because it does seem like, considering the rat issue and all of that, and then specifically if you're talking about the restaurants
Mhm.
along that one whole big stretch. I mean, maybe it's the right answer for just that location, and then
Right.
the rest of the city is still doing something else. But
That's true.
it just seems like, I guess I want to understand it more before just discounting that as an option.
Yeah.
So, but do you know from the woman that gave the presentation or from the website, do they talk more about what kind of compost you end up with at the end?
Well, you end up with a product at the end that's dark, and very rich. But it
After
does
a few days though, or is it a few
24
days?
hours, 24 hours, because
But
it's
I
all,
guess my question, sorry, I didn't phrase it right. Because they say it, then you take it and you do something with it. So but you
Correct.
can choose what that is. And
correct.
after that, I'm just curious, now what do you have?
Well, if you combine it like 1/3, 2/3 with other compost or waste, and then you're supposed to let it sit,
Okay.
combine it and let it sit for a while, a month.
Wow. Oh,
If you
okay.
really want to dig it into your garden, right? If you want to use it as a top dressing earlier, but if you want to, really use it as compost, you're mixing it with other stuff and letting it sit.
Okay. Okay. Great.
But the advantage is if you're mixing kitchen waste with other stuff, you've got the critters coming in. So
Yeah.
now the critters aren't attracted because it's a digester and it's digested a lot of the stuff. And you
Okay.
can put bones and you can put meat in,
That is also
so,
a huge plus. Yeah.
especially with
for
restaurants. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So-
and it can be post-consumer food, not
Mhm.
what we're collecting at the growers market is all really pre-consumer. I
Right.
mean, stuff you haven't eaten or cooked
Yeah.
mostly.
Okay.
That's the intention.
Yeah.
It's-
I can see this having very different uses, but both very important for our town.
And then I just want to speak a little bit to Larry, what Larry was saying, because I've also maybe become interested in a project that Jim Hartman is spearheading. So he used to be a commission member on the CCOC, and we've heard about these, but there are neighborhood climate groups, and I think Marnie's heard about it. Neighbor is loosely termed, but it's basically a neighbor group or a friend group that would get together and talk about topics and talk about, there'd be some curriculum once a month. And you would talk about what you are doing, what makes you excited, what changes you've tried, so it's a very grassroots, how do we do things around the climate and climate change. And like the first month is going to be Firewise. So what are we looking at as a neighborhood and what are we concerned about? And, in Ashland, and then maybe one is transportation, one is food waste, different things, but it's supposed to be a kind of a local solutions oriented kind of thing. And to me, it's exciting because you don't need to have approval from everybody, and you can get some things going, and you can maybe, we know this is critical, but we also know that people start with small steps, and we have to allow that and, keep stepping forward. I think that's a little that, that's part of our frustration with the city, like Marnie was talking about with Eugene, is, we want to just keep making some small steps. And it seems like because of their staffing challenges, we're having a really hard time doing that. That's what it feels like to me.
So it'd be nice, Kate, if we could get Jim to maybe come on, if we still exist in another month, to talk about this, because it's in line with some thoughts that I had way long time ago about neighborhood programs,
Right.
and how we might move things forward in like certain type of neighborhoods, like that.
Exactly. Well, and I think he would really be happy to, Jim, and I'll talk to him. And the other thing that I think you could do in these groups is then advertise and bring forward the things that the city is doing, in the induction of, how people are turning off their gas and getting off of that, any programs the city has about, decreasing your lawn, and, so those could come into that. And I think he's probably designing some of that into his curriculum because he's very aware of what's happening, but that would be a great way, because I think people hear it better than, we're having such a hard time getting this message out. How do we get people to pay attention, but in that kind of setting, when it's your neighbors talking, it might get out better.
It'd be fun, you get to know
Exactly.
people, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
that's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Did anyone have anything else, like, I guess, announcements or updates that you wanted to share?
Well, I know tonight, if you're aware, there's that water summit process that the Pachamama group is doing. There's the second installment is tonight at 6 p.m. I believe, and I'm helping out some with that, with some water discussion. I'm mostly just going to be there, but I think Jeff Golden's going to be on that, and maybe Pam Marsh, I'm not sure, but there'll be presentations and breakout groups, and that people can choose what breakout group they want to, on different subjects.
Where's it at?
It's at Zoom.
Oh, it's on Zoom.
Yeah, so if you want, I'll send you a link, but I think if you just look up Rogue Valley Water Summit, and you'll see Pachamama come up in the search. There should be a link right there.
Okay.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Larry. That sounds great.
Sure.
Yeah.
The other thing is, last week with the Ashland Climate Collaborative, I was involved with a drought webinar, and we had a great presentation from Larry O'Neill, who's the state of Oregon climatologist. And he did a great job. I said you only have 15 minutes, and he kind of did a distillation of his slide deck and did a great job of explaining how the government and the various cooperative agencies measure drought. And it was like very, very clear and specific and really good graphics. If anybody's interested, I'd be happy to, I have a copy of his slide deck. If you're interested.
Was it recorded too? Is there recording?
It was recorded, but you know, Lori Kaplan's a little under the weather. And things have slowed down at the at Climate Central.
Yeah.
So you know, they said it was fine for me to spread around the
slide
deck. There's also a deck for water efficiency from Julie Smitherman.
Mm.
And so I have that as well. But I mean, it's better in the context of the webinar, and it will be published. I think they need to do a little editing on it, maybe. But I can try and remember as soon as it comes up to just share the link with everyone.
Okay, that'd be great. I would love to see that. All right. Any other updates? And then we can talk about the article.
I have to plug my computer in.
Okay.
I will be right back.
Okay.
Everything's all interconnected. There's Truth By is doing a reproductive justice film screening and panel discussion this Saturday. If anybody's interested in coming, we're showing the documentary of the Janes, and it's just at the Bellevue Grange. And then we have folks from Planned Parenthood and SART and SOU coming to do a panel. So if people are
That's on Saturday.
yeah, it's on Saturday at 6 p.m. at the Bellevue Grange.
Oh, okay. Okay. And how do we, is there information online about that or?
Yeah, I have an RSVP link, but I'm not allowed to put anything in this chat, am I?
You can, because we're not having an official meeting.
Then
Anyway.
I can put the
Just us.
link to RSVP, and that has all the details and everything in the chat.
Oh, okay. Fabulous. Thank you. All right.
Back.
Is Mary, are you around? Can you hear us?
There, Mary sent a chat saying that she can't hear us, but that it's being recorded.
And there's an email that says she can't be on at all on the meeting. So,
Oh, okay.
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 Can I ask one question?
Yeah.
Why are we meeting on Zoom and not in person? Is the whole city doing that, or we just decided it was
It
easier?
changed back when the new COVID variant was going
Okay.
really strong. And then I haven't heard that we're allowed to go back to person yet,
Okay,
but the whole city switched back to Zoom.
okay. Got it.
I also haven't been paying attention, so maybe we are allowed to meet again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was going to ask Mary that, but I'll ask her afterwards.
Great.
Yeah,
Great.
it's so much better in person. And especially if we don't have quorum, we can meet anywhere. So we don't even have to.
Mhm.
So that was one of my thoughts, especially with the Zoom not working, is like, wow, let's just all run down to Scout and meet there.
Right.
Let's try and do that next time.
That's good.
Yeah. Okay. And then I guess just the article, there's a couple issues. We don't have Jamie here or Beck, so I'm not sure how far we should move with it, but at some point we want to consider what we want to do with our column in the sneak preview. It's been dedicated to the Conservation Commission for such a long time, and it's a place where people actually get information on conservation and climate change. And you know, it would be a shame to just kind of give it up. And yet, if our commission disappears, either we can hand it to the new commission, or we can ask Curtis if we can move it to, you know, either to Lori's group or even, you know, Risa's group, something like that, and just make sure it stays on topic, because we have this long history and we kind of know what needs to be covered. And so I don't know if anyone has any thoughts on that, of how we should manage that. There's many options. It doesn't actually have to stay an official city thing. So it just depends on how much energy we have for it.
Well, it seems to me that if we're going to be consolidating the two commissions, that would be one of the discussions that would be had with the new commission, to look at both sides of the business thing that was going on and how that would work, right? I mean, it would be a logical transition into the new commission as a discussion point of discussion anyway, right?
Well, I think it's up to us. It's up to our commission because we're the ones that have always managed it historically. It is an outreach tool. We're the outreach commission.
Well, the
so
new
I think
commission is going to be
we-
outreach too.
So I don't know. I mean, I guess I feel like we get to decide if it should move outside the commissions or if we want to keep it with the commissions. I kind of like having, I mean, I've been enjoying kind of keeping it going and having that opportunity to communicate on a timely basis things that maybe people need to know about. And yet I also feel like groups like Lori's probably have more things that they really need to be getting out there. And the sneak is another really nice avenue for that.
Do they already, like, is there already room for them to be publishing articles in this? I know it's maybe not as like the designated space, but I feel like with Ashland.news and all the other news sources, I kind of feel like those groups do have spaces. It's kind of cool to have one that's like dedicated to the city commission because I feel like people listen in a different way sometimes.
Right. That's a good point. All right. Does anyone else have any input on?
No, were we going to the article now? Is that where we were headed?
Yes, we have, I just submitted a backup article, but there's a backup to the backup, which would be another LEAF article. So those are our options.
Well, the article that you have submitted was the Where Should I Move, right?
No, that one's already done.
Oh, that's September 5th. Okay,
That
got
was
it.
from last time.
That was the only
Yeah.
one that I'd seen linked. Was there a different one linked?
I don't think it got linked into the agenda, but I sent it out separately to everybody.
The interview with Lori, right?
Yes.
Oh, that one. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was great.
That was spot on. We ought to publish it.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
good. Great.
Yeah.
That's easy. I have to cut a little bit more and I was having trouble. I already cut a bunch. It's so hard. Especially someone's own words because I didn't want to change her words and yeah, it had to be shorter. So, but I made sure that Lori liked it, but we still do need to cut 40 more words, which isn't very many. But so if anyone if there was any piece that just didn't quite resonate with you or you feel like it wasn't needed, let me know. Otherwise, I'll figure it out.
Don't know if I didn't get it or I'm just not seeing it. Would you be willing to put a link to that in the chat for me?
I don't know that it's linked, so I can forward it to you.
Okay, that would be perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay. Yeah. And because we don't have quorum, we're not going to vote on it anyway. So, but it's nice to hear just everybody's verbal consent that you guys like it. Yeah, that's all we have. Okay. And then there is a link that I haven't gone to. Sorry, I came back from backpacking at 2:30, so I haven't managed most of the things. Oh, okay. There's a link in the agenda to the resolution for the advice. Okay. I haven't looked at that, so I don't know, but it looks like it's just the actual resolution for combining the two.
Yeah, it was a resolution that Joe put together on the 20th. And that's where I'm kind of at that point in the city council meeting where I'll see if that stood as it was proposed. But from what I could see with the verbiage, it looked like it was good to go. The one thing that showed up differently than in our commission is that the Recology and SOU and the schools are non-voting members. They're standing members, but they're non-voting.
Okay.
But what was recommended by the Climate Policy Commission was pretty much intact, just consolidated. So that was a recommendation I made also to City Council, was to follow that recommendation. So they just left out the number of the ordinance and stuff, but it refers to ordinances. So
Okay.
yeah.
James,
Yeah.
was there anything said about the age of the student
Yeah,
representative?
not student, but 2 representatives have to be under 30 or 35.
Right, but can someone be under 18?
Let me see here.
I think they still can't vote if they're underage.
Well, they can't vote anyway. They're,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing that really struck me was you had this non-voting member that there was something about that they had to be over 18. I'm thinking, well, they're not voting and we want their input. You know,
Yeah.
I
So
thought I saw something like that too, something about being over 18. I can't place it though right now.
it says voting and alternate members must be over 18 years of age.
Okay, just voting members, got it.
But I know that they were saying that having a student member was important. So I would be surprised if that's gone because I think everyone was in agreement that that's.
So
Yeah.
the new CEAC will consist of 9 voting members, up to 4 optional ex officio members as provided. So it would include at least 2 voting members who are 35 or years old or younger at the time of appointment, 4 ex officio non-voting members, which would be the Solid Waste franchise, Southern Oregon University, administration faculty, whatever that is, SOU, okay, and then a representative from high school and a representative appointed by the city manager.
Okay.
And then it says it may have up to 2 individuals designated as alternative members, and they would come in and fill the role of someone who might be missing ahead of time.
Oh, okay. Because actually, that's not, I mean, the representative from the school district has never prior to Anya been a student. So that's not necessarily saying a student.
Well, they're just saying they don't have the voting power anyway. Those particular ex officio, they call them ex officio members.
Oh, faculty or student ex officio members may be appointed to be alternative. Okay, okay. So a student would be one of the alternates.
Yeah.
But not one of the main members?
Well, it doesn't say that exactly here. Let's see. I don't see anything about students per se. It's just that no matter who's on from say the high school, you can't vote, whether you're old enough or not.
Right.
That's just the way it's set up in this. Same with Recology
Yeah.
and SOU.
Yeah, I guess it might be worth making sure that they can have a student member, a full member that's a student member, even if they're not voting, because that seems important.
Yeah. It says, yeah, you're right. At the very end of that paragraph for alternatives, it says faculty or student ex officio members may be appointed to be alternate members.
so, and there's nothing that limits geography for an ex officio, right? That would be. a
What do you mean
problem.
geography?
Well, there, in the past in the city, there have been situations where they said members must be Ashland residents. And easily there could be the person from the high school or the person from the college who lives outside the city limits. That's all I wonder about, but hopefully they've gotten past that.
I think it's 97520 is what they go by.
Is it?
I think so. Yeah.
Because that goes way far. out.
Right.
Yeah. Good.
Right. So the other thing, sorry, we're kind of zipping around different topics. Was there anything else about that you guys wanted to discuss? Because back to the articles, I kind of moved December's up to fill the slot. I feel like climate equity is still really important. So I don't know if we want to try and do that one it would then end up in December, or if there's something else we want. I mean, December is a nice time to set goals for the next year or remind people why climate change is important. So it could be there might be an interesting way make it something that gets people excited.
Well, you have Lori Kaplan and Electrify Ashland down.
Yeah, but then I moved Lori's into this slot to fill this slot for this month. So I don't know that Lori wants to be in again. Anya?
Yeah, I was just for the equity article. First of all, thank you, Marnie, for filling it for me, filling out
Oh,
that spot.
Not a problem.
When it came to actually writing it, I tried working with Precious and reaching out and all of that. I was having a very hard time getting in contact and getting someone to help me collab on it. And I'm just feeling like I'm not the right person to write that article. I don't think I have enough knowledge or experience to be able to do it justice. I still think it's a super important topic. So I think it just is like if someone else feels like they want to take on writing that. And I know you forwarded me some good articles that were good, but I just don't feel like I'm the right person to write that, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yes. Is there anything that you would be excited to write, like something that just, and there's no pressure for you to write an article. I want to give you the opportunity if that's something of interest to you, but I also know how busy you are.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to think on that a little bit more because nothing's coming to me like right now.
Okay.
But if I think of something, I'll let you know. I also just know like writing is not my strong suit and it's never been something that I super enjoy doing. And so it's more like if someone else is feeling drawn to write something, I think please go ahead.
Okay. All right. I'm happy to write to do the climate equity one and try and reach out to Precious again and try and pull that together. There's also plenty of other topics we could cover. So does anyone else have anything really pressing? Because I guess one thing that would be nice is while we're still a commission, if we get a whole slate of articles ready, then when we're not meeting, we'll still have those topics lined up because there's going to be a big gap before the next commission gets up and running. If they do take this on, there's going to be times where we're just going to be thankful that we already have it scheduled out. So it'd be nice to keep at least quite a few months ahead.
I've got an idea. If they did pass a resolution and we're going to be transitioning,
Yeah.
it might be interesting to put together a joint article with the old commission and us into what is going to transform into what commission will do. And it could be based on what was approved through the recommendation. So that might be a really powerful way to introduce this transition, even though it might probably will have happened by then, maybe not. I don't know when that will happen, but it would be a nice way for us as the two commissions to talk about what is, coming up and put it in the form of an article that could get us all thinking about before we actually move into the new commission, what we might be doing.
Okay. And we don't know, we don't know when that would be really at this point. But we can kind of guess and just put it on the schedule and then move it if we need to.
And when it does happen, I think people and citizens of Ashland are still going to be a little confused around who does what, when, and why. And so even if it's several months after this joining has happened that it's published, it would still be timely.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good idea. And I think there's going to need to be education around, what happened and, where did the airport commission go and who does that or whatever, there's a lot of things, right? So
That's a
yeah.
good point. Yeah. Okay. Let's put that on there. I think that's a great idea. Does anyone want to take the lead on that?
I'd be happy to work with Bob Kaplan, but it would probably be best after the election, just because he's the chair right now and he's just busy. So I'd be happy to work with Bob. I'll just send a message out and maybe we can set up a time after all the falderall has passed.
Okay.
Falderall.
Falderall. Electoral.
Yeah.
I think part of why I definitely want to still keep the climate equity issue on the schedule, it seems like with the election, there's a lot of communication of either social justice, racial justice, or climate change. And I'm like, wait a minute, because the climate change field had to deal with their race problem and did it. Like, I think people in climate change now get why those always go together. But I'm feeling like the rest, other folks don't quite understand that those issues are so tied together. You can't
Mhm,
you can't separate them. So
mhm,
this either or is concerning, considering all the work that went into getting climate
mhm.
change action going.
Well,
Okay.
interestingly enough, number 4 of the resolution for the new advisory committee is providing recommendations to City Council. Ashland's climate and environmental planning incorporates long-term social, economic, and environmental goals, including social equity for low-income households, persons of color, young and elderly, and those with disabilities. So that's in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. Thank you.
Mhm. But I do think some people think it as either or, and not just locally, but on a larger scale. And it's definitely not, and we can't look at it like that. So I
Yeah.
do think it's an important topic.
Okay. Okay, any other topics that we want to just get on the list coming up? And
If these groups that Jim Hartman is proposing get off the ground,
yeah,
that could be a good thing, or even just local, some of our other groups that are working on climate issues. I don't know. I mean, we have so many local groups that are doing such great things. Even just a little blurb about each one, could be helpful.
yeah. I think that's a great idea because I was feeling like our group isn't necessarily doing things, but I think actually our role is to celebrate what other groups are doing. So
Partially, yeah.
that might be something we want to do even sooner. It's
Mhm.
just like really tooting the horn for all of those that are doing so much.
Mhm, mhm.
Okay, I love both of those ideas. Thank you. James, what did you want to call the previous one? I was just taking notes. I didn't write it down.
New
Combined.
advisory committee rollout for combining the Conservation and Climate Outreach Commission and the Climate Policy Commission. I mean, that's a long statement, but that's kind of what the gist of it would be.
Okay. 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 And then the existing ones. Go back to those. Okay, the existing ones are holiday consumption, sustainability, SOU, and then electrify Ashland. Okay, so does anyone have preferences of what order those should come in? So right now we have the ones that we already had on the list. And then we have the neighborhood groups, we have the who is doing what on climate change, we have the new combined committees, and we have climate equity. So
I liked what you said about putting climate equity for December or sooner, so that it's around election time. So I think that whenever we can do that one, and then I feel like doing all the different climate groups could be a fun one to do second, just so that we can have that outreach with all the groups while we're still finishing.
yeah, I think no matter what, they're going to be after the election. And I've been thinking just personally about how to get more information out on the importance of voting for the climate before the election, but that can't be coming from this commission.
Mhm, mhm.
But I definitely want to work on that. Okay, so who's doing what? There's the holiday consumption one that Jamie's doing, and
And that would have to come earlier, so we need that
yeah.
to come
So
out.
that would actually be the December one.
Mhm.
Okay, so holiday consumption. Sorry, you can't see my notes, but I'm writing this down. And then I'll check with Bex and just see what month is best for SOU
Mhm.
sustainability one.
Yeah.
And then actually the Electrify Ashland, that'll be part of the who is doing what. So that covers that. And the new combined committee rollout. So that would put that, let's see, that's December. Okay, December, January. So that would be like February. So that might be good.
Mm-hmm.
And then climate equity, March, neighborhood groups. Beautiful. And there might be other things that come up before that. So,
Mhm.
and then we'll just move them around. Okay, thank you.
That's good.
It's nice to have those in place. Does anyone want to take the lead to any of those? There's the who's doing what of all the climate change groups. Jamie's doing holiday consumption. James, it sounds like you might help Bob work on the committee rollout
Yeah,
one.
I'm gonna do that one.
I'm going to do climate equity. And then the neighborhood groups. Kate, would you like to lead that one?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And it might be after our commission doesn't exist anymore. Do
Right.
folks mind continuing to have that responsibility even in the interim? I
Sure.
feel like if we give it back to the sneak, I don't know that we'll ever get that space back.
Mhm, mhm.
But maybe that's fine. I feel a little bit attached to it.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, so the who's doing what is the one that we don't currently have assigned, but we'll figure that out.
Mhm.
Okay.
That might be able to be a collaborative effort
It
with a couple
could be
people.
a collaborative effort. Yeah. Yeah. In fact, it probably should be. That would be really fun to write together.
Right. And just even the name, I mean, I get confused with the names of some of the groups, right? And their focus, but just their name, website, and then,
Yeah.
we focus a little bit. SOCAN and Electrify Ashland. And those are a couple of groups I'm thinking about. There's more.
Okay. Okay.
And
Yeah, Larry.
yeah, I was just gonna say, related to that, getting the word out about the different groups. I mean, I've heard a lot of discussion about the need for there being a wider voice online for local climate action, one place instead of having to send out 5 different links to connect with all the different groups.
Yeah.
And in the same way that we've had trouble in this community getting a centralized calendar for community events. And it's always a fraught thing. There has to be someone who takes the lead and
Right.
can kind of vet the
Huh.
different things. But it would be nice if somebody, especially when someone comes to town new,
Right.
how can I plug in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's
And then
true.
and knowing who's working on what right now, like keeping it updated. There
Mhm.
used to be a group that would meet every 3 months, I think. And it was all the climate change groups together sent one representative to meet together pre-COVID, obviously. There's
Mhm.
a great way to keep track of who is currently doing what and then where the different groups might want to
Yeah.
jump in and help. I don't know if that's still happening,
It's a great idea.
but
Yeah,
having
I
it
think
happen
that-
online would be awesome. So
Mhm.
yeah. Okay.
It did happen online a couple of times now.
Oh, but I mean a website, or you're saying through Zoom?
They just called together a group of people who were
Mm.
interested, and everybody came to the meeting and talked about what their efforts were. So it was that
Oh.
collaboration.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm trying to get it a way to then share out in the wider community for people who maybe weren't there or didn't know about it.
Yeah.
If they have energy to plug into a volunteer effort.
Mhm. Mhm.
Nice. Okay. I don't know that we have much more that we want to do. We can't vote on anything, so it seems smart.
So the minutes we'll just go over at the next meeting. We'll just jump into I just had a few things. I mean, like Flavia's name was spelled wrong and, a couple things like that.
Yeah. If there are things like that, would you want to, is it too much of a hassle to just type them and send them to Mary?
Okay, no, I can do that.
Okay. And then otherwise, I mean, I think if it's
Okay.
something substantial that needs to be voted on as far as changes, but if it's just misspellings and stuff, I don't think we have to vote on that.
Okay.
And next time, if we have quorum, we can vote on the minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, Larry, you said something about us getting together.
Well,
Okay.
just, yeah, at some point, if there's a cutoff,
Right.
official end to this commission, it would be nice to just get together in the park or
Yeah.
someone's backyard or something.
Mhm. Great idea.
That's a great idea. I think we should do that. So I can look for some dates and see if we can make that happen.
And if we can bring together ex-members,
Oh, yeah.
Yes, of course.
That's a great idea.
I mean, all the way back from the beginning.
Yeah.
There are a
Oh
lot
my
of
gosh.
people. Yeah, a
That's
lot
a
of people
great
could be brought
idea.
together.
Great.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Sure.
Uh-huh.
yeah. I can go back in my notes and tell you exactly who was on what commission since 2006 anyway.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, James, do you want to get together and try and plan something?
I'll get together with you and plan something. Okay, I'll put together a list of names of kind of people throughout time.
Okay.
And maybe that could be our contact list, okay?
Okay. Fabulous. All right.
Awesome.
All right. Well, I think we're done.
Great.
But thanks for showing up and nice to see you all. And
Mhm.
thanks for all the good work.
Yes.
Okay.
See you soon.
Thanks, bye.
Bye.
Bye.